thousands of U.S. Marines are sailing to Israel now. More than 2,000 additional troops ready for potential deployment. CNN, and that was as of 12 Business Insider, 12 hours ago, 13 hours ago. CNN, U.S. Navy Rapid Response Force moving toward Israel as Pentagon strengthens military posture in the region. The least of the flock shall draw them out. The U.S. prepares. This is 9 hours ago. Host MSN. U.S. prepares to deploy 2,000 troops to Israel, not for combat purposes. Well, what are you sending them there for? That's what Marines do. They fight. 2,000 U.S. troops preparing for possible deployment to Israel. This thing is going to get hotter and hotter. This is the fulfillment of Joel 3, Revelation 20, verse, I think it's the 7th verse right down. Key verses in the 8th verse. Ezekiel chapter 38, chapter 39. Armageddon, Revelation 16. So anyway, that I'm going to say shalom.
All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone, who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations to the Akim out there pushing this gospel and truth and its sincerity to the best of their ability, given to them by Yahweh Bahashem Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Shai, Lord willing, fall upon their houses. So, Brother Quanah Watt, come back at you, Lord will, with the edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Shai, Lord will, it is edifying, Lord will, is straight to the point. But as you had seen, it's the Elder Apostle Tahar's, page, and he just did a quick little, update a few hours ago, man, on, again, America, is sending 2,000 Marines over to Israel, which, as you heard, they're saying, not for, combat purposes, but again, as the Elder Apostle Tahar had said, why would you be sending them there, man, and really, ultimately, this is all, feeding into, that great judgment, right? The Lord is gathering the nations, right, into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. Now I got this right here. This is Joel chapter 3 and verse 1, just like in verse 2. It says, I will also gather all nations, right? And that includes America, right? So you're seeing America ultimately move, their military over there. They've moved, their warships over there, as well as, now, which I had this article pulled up right here. It says the U.S. B-52 bomber makes first ever landing in South Korea, right? Which is a little bit, a good distance away from, Israel, right? But nonetheless, it's on that side of the world, right? Which is closer, right? It makes that distance, a lot shorter, right? From getting from South Korea all the way to Israel or in that area, right? It's a lot closer than, flying from America to that area, So ultimately, the Lord is ultimately getting and putting American army and American military closer and closer to that area, right? And we understand what's going to happen, right? The Lord is ultimately going to destroy these armies, man, these militaries, right? I'll read this again. Joel 3 and 2 says, I will also gather all nations, and bring them down into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Right? So, the Lord is ultimately going to plead with these nations. And that's not, to say he's going to beg and plead them, right? When you go into that word plead, it goes into Strong's 8199, goes into what? To judge, right? To punish, right? It says act as a lawgiver or judge or governor, it says of the Most High, right? To execute judgment, right? This is what the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to do to these nations, man, right? And that includes the American military, man. All these moles that are in the American military and so on and so forth, the Lord is ultimately going to judge them, man. This is what's coming, and this is why we see, right, America moving their military over there, and a lot of armies and stuff like that moving their military right into those areas, man, right? Because the Lord is about to bring great judgment right upon these armies, man. Let's grab this real quick. And I don't want to make this too long, man. I just ultimately want to get the point. Again, the Lord is going to bring great judgment right upon these nations, man, and their armies, right? Pursuant to Isaiah, what is that, the 34th chapter? This is Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 1. It says, "Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it." Right? It says, "For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter." And this is exactly what's going to happen over there, man. When Yahushua comes back, Yahushua is going to deliver a sore slaughter upon these armies, man. Let's go to, Second Esdras, the 13th chapter, and just prove that, right? We'll start at verse 1. It says, "And it came to pass," it's not pulling up on this phone. Let's see if it pull up on this one. Right, Second Esdras 13. Yep, in verse 1, it says, "And it came to pass that after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea that had moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen unto him." And that man is going into Yahushua, right? Yahushua coming with that army, right? Let's go to this real quick. Revelations 19, and we'll start at verse 11. It says, "And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war." And this is what Yahushua is coming to do, right? When he cracks open that sky, right, and he comes with his army, right, as we're about to read, when he comes with his army, he's going to make war with these nations, man, right, and their armies, right? And the difference is Yahushua is going to win, right, pursuant to Revelations, the 12th chapter, verse 7 and 9. Right? Talking about these other nations, says, "And they prevailed not." Right? They're not going to win against Yahushua, because he said what? He's coming, he's coming, he says he's not going to meet thee as a man, right? Pursuing Isaiah, the 47th chapter, right? He says, "I shall not meet thee as a man." So he's coming in the angelic power. He might look like a man, right? But he's coming in pure power, right? It says, verse 12, it says, "His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns," which is again symbolic for, Yahushua. When he comes and destroys these nations and their armies, he's going to consecrate that power, right, that they have, right, in the earth. He's going to consecrate that power unto himself, man. It says, "And he had a name written that no man knew, but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of the Most High." And we understand that that's talking about Yahushua, right? Because Yahushua was the Word made flesh, Verse 14, here's the point. It says, "And the armies which were in heaven followed with him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean." That's right, man. So he's coming with an army, and this is what he's going to do. Verse 15, "And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations," right? "And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fiercest of the wrath of the Almighty power." That's right, man. So let's go back to that Second Esdras 13. And Verse 3, it says, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, right? That army, right? It says, and when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under it. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it filleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Now this right here is talking about those armies, right? Those armies that are going to be gathered, right, in the valley of Yehoshaphat, which is over there, right, in the vicinity of Israel, right, in the vicinity of, Gaza and so on and so forth, right? That area, right, that general area over there, man, which they would call the Middle East, the so-called Middle East, right, the Fertile Crescent, So these armies are going to be gathered together, right? And they're going to be fighting against one another. But when Yahushua comes, they're going to stop, and it's almost going to be like Independence Day, man, to some degree, right? Where the nations are going to be banding together, right, to fight against Yahushua and his armies, right? Because it says right here that they wanted to subdue the man, right? To subdue the man that came out of the sea, right? It says in verse 6, it says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it, right? Because Yahushua is coming in a fathership, right? He's not coming like no regular man out the sky. You know what I mean? Like he's falling out there. No, he's coming there. He's coming from the spiritual realm, right? With the angels, with his army, right? On that fathership, coming to put in that work, man. Verse 7, but I would have seen the region or place where out the hill was graven, and I could not, right? Because that's how big the fathership is going to be, man. You're not going to be able to see the ends of the chariot, man. It's just going to fade into the universe, man. That's how big it's going to be. Our eyes are not going to be able to really see that far, Verse 8 says, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, yet durst fight, right? Because the Lord's going to put the spirit on them to fight anyways, man. Even though they're going to be scared, even though this is going to be something that none of these armies have ever seen before, right? The Lord's going to put the spirit on them to fight anyways, right? Which will ultimately, be the fulfillment of Revelations, the 12th chapter, right? And they prevailed not, right? Which means they have to fight, right? It's just they're going to lose, right? Verse 9, it says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, right, man? And that's not saying he's literally going to be having, right, literal flames and literal beams of light, coming from his mouth, right? But that's going into what? Going into laser beams from the fathership and the chariots that are ultimately going to be, destroying, right, these armies, man. We just read in Isaiah the 34th chapter, right, that his fury, is upon all these nations and their armies, man, right? And we're going to see that fury being laid out upon them, by way of Yahushua and his army, Verse 11, it says, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden and innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. And this is exactly why when you go into 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter, right, it tells you there's a horrible vision, man, right? Because yes, war is going to happen, right? But at the end, all those armies are going to be destroyed, man. It's going to be a crazy war that's going to happen. But again, at the end, right, it's going to be what? Destruction. This is what's coming down the pipe, man. So you got to get ready, man. And I just want to make that real quick, man, through the spirit, just touching on that. So with that, Lord will is edifying, Lord will, straight to the point. I want to give all praise, honor, glory unto Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Kakadash. Till next time, Mr. Shalom.